All right, welcome to the Run.Down. I'm your host, Shwinipu. Stacy will be joining us shortly. The Knicks lose game 2, 100-94. We will get into what was, a game that I think kind of, I don't know how to put it exactly. I guess it was a example of, I think, all of the concerns many of us have had, all of us have had, most of us have had, maybe that's the best way to put it, about this team's ability to execute offensively coming into the postseason. Um, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the Knicks did well, because they only did give up 100 points in this game. I thought the defense was pretty good, even though they kind of struggled with some of the adjustments that Detroit made with Cade Cunningham and how they were using him in the first half. But we'll talk about that. Want to get to this super chat here from Brian Benjamin to start with. Turned the game off because I couldn't watch the offense any longer. Brunson just dribbling the air to the ball, no foul calls, and everyone jump pass in. Yeah, I don't know. There are times where you watch it and you think, man, Brunson's got to get off the ball. He's got to do a better job getting guys involved and whatnot. I don't know. The more often it happens, the more, and this is pretty similar to what we've seen be the offense last year in the playoffs at time, most of it. This is what we saw be the offense in the playoffs the year before. The results may vary, right? Last year they were really, really efficient. I think they were the second or third best scoring offense in the first, in the playoffs. Obviously, they only played the first 2 rounds. Year before they were second to last, I should say. 15th out of the 16 playoff teams in terms of their offensive efficiency. Again, I think the results can vary, but the features of it are the features of it. And, I don't think it's, Brunson can definitely do a better job at times. And I do think there are times where he gets a little bit too focused on fighting a battle of wits with the officials and whatnot about fouls. But I think a lot of it is just, this is kind of the nature of the offense. And, there doesn't seem to be a lot of eye candy off the ball. Not forget eye candy, but just actions off the ball. There's not a lot of misdirection. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of it is mismatch hunting. And then you get into some of the odd personnel usage where it's like, look, if you want to ice all the time, fine. But it almost makes having 5-out spacing or better spacing or whatever, or at least, if you're going to have non-shooters in the lineup, kind of how you use them and the intentions of it become more important. And, that's just not there a lot of times. Like you see that, especially obviously with Josh Hart, where, tonight Detroit wasn't defending him really. They were playing very aggressively off him, or they'd flat out defend him with the center, which we saw throughout the fourth quarter, especially. And the Knicks' way to combat that has been to use Josh Hart as roll man, which is not a bad option to have. As I've repeatedly said, I think it's a good option to have. If it's the only option you have, it means that guys like Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby are bystanders. They spot up off the ball. And look, Mikal Bridges he has 2 really good looks towards the end of the game from 3. You'd like to see him bury those. And, we can be critical of him for that. But to me, that even if he makes those shots, does that change issues with kind of the overall process and how everything is working offensively? I don't think so. Not to me anyway. Karl-Anthony Towns, I believe, I don't remember what exactly was Fred Katz do today. The last shot he took was with 5:20 left in the third quarter. I don't think he touched the ball in the post once in the fourth quarter. I think the last post-up shot he got was that shot at the 5:20 mark. Even on that shot, if you watch it back, he's posting up Tobias Harris. Josh Hart's in the strong side corner. Paul Reed basically is just in the paint, helping, making that shot a contested shot. Cat doesn't make it. But the point being is, when you don't have those threats on the floor and teams are just, they're aware of it and they're defending it a certain way, it's up to you as a coach to either make the adjustment in terms of taking a guy out and putting in somebody who changes the spacing for you and changes how teams have to defend you, or you have to figure out ways to utilize him that maintain efficiency and maintain effectiveness. And too often this season, we've seen that hasn't been the case. And unfortunately, the other thing we've seen is that Tom Thibodeau will ride or die with Josh Hart. That's just it. Like, other guys can sit, right? Like we saw game one, Mikal Bridges wasn't, I don't even, whatever. I don't want to get into how well he played, but Campaign was playing great. So Tibbs rode with the hot hand, and played him and had Mikal sit on the bench. I applauded him for that, and I still would applaud him for that because that's the type of coaching you need, especially in the postseason. But if there are sacred cows, and one of them is a guy who, Josh Hart's a really good player. He's not a star. He's not a superstar. It's not a guy that should be above and beyond tactical substitutions and tactical situations where he has to sit out. But that's kind of how we operate. And that's how Tibbs has operated all year. So, Brian Benjamin, I don't blame you for turning the game off. I mean, I can't do it. I don't know how anybody does it for the playoffs. I just can't do it. I wouldn't be able to turn off the game. But maybe more respect to you for taking care of your mental health for the best and turning this off, because it was very frustrating. I don't know what I'm just curious because the Knicks did end up getting to the line quite a bit in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. So they ended up with 19 free throws to the Pistons 34. It is what it is. I thought the officiating was odd, to say the least. And honestly, my gripe was less that I thought the Knicks should have gotten to the line more, and more that I thought the Pistons got a lot of relatively soft calls in the first half comparatively. But you've got to be able to play through that. And quite honestly, if the Knicks approach this game and handle their business differently, right? And I'm talking, again, everything I talked about in the beginning, from how you're utilizing your personnel, and also just to being quick to make substitutions and adjust your rotations, adjust your lineups. If you are quick to do those things, then maybe it doesn't matter. Like, maybe that wouldn't matter. But when you wait 7 minutes and 5 seconds into the third quarter to make your first sub, I think the Knicks had scored one basket in that time. They'd scored 4 points in that period of time. So think about this. The Knicks put up 94 points. So they scored 4 points. So 41 of their points came in the final, 17:55 of the game. They scored 4 points to start the fucking third quarter. This was a rock fight. You can't punt entire portions of games like that. And it was very obvious early in that third quarter that they were in trouble offensively because of how, they just did not have the solutions to get quality shots with Josh on the floor at that point in time. And they weren't getting out on transition well enough. And yeah, look, you want to say Brunson, yeah, he did not have a great start to the second half. But like, I just think there's so much burden on the players to make the best out of situations that are not conducive to them. I mean, they're not the best environments for them. Like, I just refuse to believe that this is the best we can expect offensively with the overall talent that we have. And, like, I don't know what to really say beyond that, because this is stuff that we've been saying in the regular season. This is stuff that we've been saying all season long. The starting lineup has not been particularly good. I don't know what the hell their fucking net rating was tonight. I imagine it wasn't very good. Despite the fact that they were able to make a push in the fourth quarter and tie the game and whatever. And look, I got to say this. If you're going to have Josh Hart on the floor and you're willing to accept some of the offensive, if you're willing to give up something offensively to have him on the floor, then you have to be able to get some of that back on the defensive end of the floor. And I'm not going to tell you that Josh Hart played some awful defensive game, because he didn't play an awful defensive game. But It's 94-94. He and Brunson get put into a pick and roll. It's with Tobias Harris and Schroeder. Brunson clearly is looking to switch it. He switches it. Hart instead sticks with Harris as he continues to roll, and Schroeder is able to get a clean look from three, step into a three, drains it. Now, it'd be one thing if that was a situation where it looked like the Knicks were comfortable or were looking to give him that shot. That is not what that looked like. And it looked to me like after the play, Brunson was at least communicating something to Hart, whatever it was. I think that was a fuck up. I think Hart's supposed to switch that. And you can't have those fuck ups in tight games. But you know what? When you get put in tight games, you get burned on stuff like that. And those are the margins. And, that's why that's why ideally you don't want to be in that situation. You want to be up 7, 8, 9 points. You don't want to be in a tie game. At times it's unavoidable. You're going to play good teams or whatever. This to me did not feel like a night where it was unavoidable. Felt like the Knicks were stuck in molasses all night. It felt like there was very little being done in the way of adjustments from the bench to find solutions. And, that's what happens. Like that's what happens. You get burned on the margins. Like margins work constantly. Like this is why losing margins in the first half aren't meaningless. All of it matters. A 48-minute game, all of it matters. If you treat that stuff or you minimize that stuff, you don't just automatically get it back in the fourth quarter because now you're taking it seriously and guys are locked in and whatever. It's not how it works. So look, the Knicks, they got taught a lesson tonight in a lot of ways. And, I'm sure there'll be people that talk about like toughness and whatever. Like, I don't think any of this has to do with toughness or their competitiveness or anything like that. I don't think this game boiled down to that at all. I think the game boiled down to Detroit made some good adjustments in the first half. Actually, Rick Brunson mentioned it when he did his halftime interview with Wally just before the second half. And he talked about how, they were getting Cade off the ball more, using him in dribble handoffs, which they did do a good job of. I thought they did a good job of using Schroeder as a screener, which gave the Knicks a lot of problems, especially in the first half. In the second half, I didn't think the Knicks actually came out that great defensively. I thought it was kind of rough. They were, again, the effort was there, but they were they felt like really, it was like nervous energy. It was like they're trying too hard at times, and guys weren't really on the same page, or they were overcommitting. And I think they got lucky in some moments that guys missed open threes. But the defense overall was not my concern from this game. You gave up 100 points tonight. With the players you have at your disposal, with the offensive power you have, when you give up 100 points, that should be a win. Like, there is no reason for the Knicks offense to often resemble watching the Houston Rockets half-court offense. And the fact that it does, and oftentimes the biggest difference is simply that Jalen Brunson is a phenomenal half-court shot maker, is a problem. That is a really big problem. And, people can disagree on how much is about coaching and how much is about players, but to me, there's no way around it. A lot of it is about coaching. And, we've seen this coach with a variety of different personnel at this point. The offense in general seems to boil down to this quite often. You're his best guy making, turning water into wine. And it can work at times, again, because Brunson's so fucking talented and he's such a good shot maker. But the burden on him to create constantly, and create in situations where there's not great spacing and there's not a lot of stuff happening off ball to distract defenders. It's a lot of, there's the whole defense is kind of had their eyes towards the ball and they're in a shell and he's got to make the best out of it. I don't know. Not good enough to me. Veritas Jip says, love the work, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Brian Benjamin also says, offense is so bad we don't get delusional about how good our team is. Yeah, I I don't think I'm delusional at all about how good this team is. I think I had a pretty strong idea of what this team was. I did not think this series was going to be a pushover. Maybe I was definitely a little bit overconfident after game one, because I did feel like that was the game. If they were going to steal one in New York, that was the one they were going to steal. So the fact that they didn't definitely made me a little big in my britches, you could say. But I've never felt the series was over or they didn't have a chance. And look, I'll even say this. I think in game one, Tibbs almost benefited from the fact that Hart got into foul trouble, because I think he had to try more stuff, and he tried a lot more variations. I mean, we barely saw Cat and Mitch play together tonight. I don't really understand that. I didn't think Mitch was as good tonight as he was in game one, but I just don't get not trying those guys together more. I don't understand not playing, Mitch with the starters aside from Hart, or really Mitch with Cat. Just pick combinations. I don't really care. To not play that more, to me, is just, it doesn't make sense. And I think it actually helped even out some of the margins in terms of like rebounding and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a mistake, and I don't really understand why that wasn't a bigger part of the game plan tonight. I thought that was a pretty big misstep on Tibbs's part. All right, getting to some more here. H22 ISO ball in the playoffs. I'm sick to my stomach, bro. No ball movement whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know. It's, we've seen this team now in 4 postseasons under Tibbs. Last year's probably the best version of it. And you got to wonder how much of that simply just almost had to do with like the fact that it felt like Dante was such a key component to making an offense like this, with his quick trigger and ability to space out to like 30 feet, hit on a top end that doesn't require precise execution quite like the current team does. And I don't know. It's just very frustrating to watch this game. The Knicks end up with, it's funny. They actually have, they end up this game 15 assists. 15 assists tonight for the Knicks. They actually held the Pistons had 11 assists tonight. The Knicks lost this game. Pistons shot 44%, 44.6% from the field, 22.2% from three. So the Knicks outshot them from three. Not like it was a great margin. The Knicks shot 10 of 35 from three. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, the ISO stuff is terrible. I'm so pissed. We were 1 of 11 halfway through the third quarter, and Tibbs still to make a sub. Yeah, I don't get that. I mentioned that in the opening. I don't know why that was the case. But it's this is what he does. This is how he coaches. He has his kind of rotation in his mind, and he rarely deviates from it except for foul trouble until the fourth quarter. That's how it's been. That's how he operates. It's kind of how it's always been with him. Something else to say. This is what it is. So when I saw the rotation in the first half, I was like, I don't really like this rotation, but I guess that's his rotation, because that's kind of like what he wants. And there was a 2-minute period in the first half, in the first period at the end of it, where neither Brunson or Cat were on the floor, I believe. I don't understand that. I really don't love having Hart on the floor with Mitch. I think that is not ideal for many reasons. Maybe, I guess the logic would be that you'll get a rebounding edge, and that's enough to make up the gap for whatever spacing you're lacking. But I just don't like it, and I think it's, I don't think you ever need to have it. Like you have OG Anunoby, right? You have Mikal Bridges, you have Cat, right? If you want to have Mitch on the floor, like play him with Cat. You can have whoever the fuck at the 3 between OG and Mikal, Deuce, Brunson, whatever, and you still have decent spacing. And I will give Tibbs credit for this. Payne didn't have it tonight. He was awful in the first quarter. I don't know what was going on with him. And he just cut his minutes. I was fine with that decision. I understood why he did it. It meant Brunson played the entire second half, which is obviously less than ideal. And I still think there are ways to avoid that, even if you didn't want to play campaign. Not going to kill him for that. But it is what it is. Like, I mean, this is, I don't know how else to put it, but if you play OG Anunoby 42 minutes, Brunson 44 minutes, Josh Hart 40 minutes, Bridges 38, you got to win the game. And if you don't, all your decisions need to be under scrutiny. And not a knock on the Pistons. They're a good team. If you're playing the level of talent this team has that many minutes and you can't come away with the win, that is a very poor look for a coach. And guys got to be better too, right? Yeah, Bridges should make at least one of those threes towards the end. Josh Hart has to do something offensively, like take some shots before the end of the game. OG Anunoby can't come out and do absolutely nothing offensively for the majority of the game. And quite honestly, I thought OG's defense tonight on Cade was really disappointing after such a great game one. He was a step slow, especially in the first three quarters. Fourth quarter, he really picked it up. But first three quarters, he was a step slow, getting around screens, beating him to his spot. He constantly kept letting Cade get to his right for no reason. That play, I think, at the end of I don't remember if it was at the end of the first half or the third. I think it was the end of the third quarter where they ran an ATO or a sideline out of bounds play, and Cade come out, like he threw the inbound, got it back from Duran, and got a dribble handoff, and then turned the corner, and he got OG fouled him. But to me, it's like that's such a telegraph play. You have to know that was going to happen, and a defender of OG Anunoby's caliber should blow a play like that up. Not good enough. Not good enough for him tonight. And say what you will about Mikal Bridges down the stretch, but I thought he was one of the main reasons the Knicks were able to stay as close as they were in the first half. He had a lot of big plays in the first half, especially defensively. Hit some big shots, and that was good to see. But yeah, you want to see more from him, obviously, towards the end of the game. Again, gets a couple of really good looks from three. You would love to see him bury one of those. Felt like that would be huge for him, obviously, and obviously just great for the Knicks. And then, yeah, your bench was terrible tonight. You got 8 points from Deuce. One of them was, I don't even know what else to say, but like a complete miracle fucking bullshit banked in three. His defense was not great tonight. This was his worst defensive game, I think, in a while. He got burned by Schroeder multiple times. I know Schroeder's a tricky customer, but, if you're coming in for 20 minutes max, probably you're here, right? But if you're basically going to play like 15 to 20 minutes, it's got to be better. Your defense has to be consistently locked in. You can't get burned the way he did at multiple times by Schroeder. He's got to be better. So players have to be better too. It's not just about Tibbs, but it's hard not to tie in a lot of the, especially offensively. That's really the big thing for me. Just it's not so much even how players play. It's our style of play as a team, what we look like, how we're operating as a unit. That's just very concerning. And apologies, my nose is super stuffy. I have really bad allergies. But yeah. Yeah, Cat took 3 shots in the entire second half. I don't know how to say that's a coaching thing. I know there's some real geniuses on Twitter telling me that, look at Karl-Anthony Towns. Look at his track record in the playoffs. I don't really understand what that has to do with this. I didn't. My takeaway from this game was not, that had anything to do with that. But yeah. All right. Moving on. Sorry, just getting some more here. Bara Al-Hariri. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Campaign 0 second half minutes when Mikal was offered 3 tonight as a choice. Again, I didn't really. I can't. I'm not going to kill him for that one. I thought Cam was so bad in the first half. Now, I think what I should also say, to be fair, is while I understand why Tibbs didn't play him in the second half, I think it's fair if you're of the opinion that you got to give a guy a shot, especially after the way he played in game one. I think that's more than a fair pushback on that. And maybe that's actually the right view to have. Give him a shot. Even if it's just to let Brunson sit for a couple minutes, give him a chance. He didn't do it. I understood it. I'm not going to kill him for it because I understood why. Campaign often either has it or doesn't. Tonight looked like a night where he absolutely did not have it. But, yeah, it's. I understand that view. I don't think it's entirely unfair either. John Leary, what an awful loss. Rotations make no sense. Cat not getting the ball. Bridges hit open three. No 5-out lineups. The no 5-out lineups makes it so weird. Like, and it's not just that you didn't play 5-out. You also barely got any Cat and Mitch minutes. So you neither leveraged your potential size advantage, and you didn't ever really play a 5-out lineup. I mean, the one 5-out lineup they did have, I guess, at one point, if I remember correctly. Actually, no, I don't think they ever had a 5-out lineup on the floor. No, they didn't. So I don't get it. I don't get it. With this roster, the fact that you play Cat 33 minutes tonight, the vast majority at center, and at no point do you have a 5-out look. And I'm sorry, Josh Hart at this point no longer can qualify as even like as part of a 5-out look. It's not real. We see it every night. Every opponent that we've had to close the season has been utilizing a center on Josh Hart or just having their wings sag way off Josh Hart. Like, it's not a 5-out look. It's just not. So the fact that this is how he's choosing to deploy this personnel, that's his choice. At the end of the day, that's his choice. And we can debate the value of those things. And we have talked about it all season, right? We've talked about it all season. I don't think there's anything else to be said about it than that hasn't already been said. This is how he's choosing to deploy the personnel he has available to him. And I think that's a mistake. I think it's the type of consistent decision-making that puts a series like this where, in my opinion, you clearly have the better talent. But it's how you put a decision like a series like this in the balance, put it in limbo, however you want to put it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say other than that. It doesn't make sense to me, but this is how he's choosing to play it. And that's something that the front office will really need to weigh very seriously come the end of the season. Neo Schmidt, they still don't know what to do with Towns with Towns late in games plus weird lineups and subs. I think they know exactly what they're doing Cat at the end of games, actually. This is where I actually disagree with you. And I'm not being facetious. They know exactly what they're doing Karl-Anthony Towns at the end of games. Karl-Anthony Towns at the end of games is a floor spacer. That's what he is. Sometimes he might set a screen for Brunson at the top of the key. But more or less he's a floor spacer because Tibbs needs to have Josh Hart on the floor, or at least he views Josh Hart as a player he has to have on the floor in crunch time no matter what. And part of the equation, part of his calculation and how he's kind of trying to justify or try to maximize, I guess is maybe the better word to do it. So not to be a total asshole at Tibbs here. But part of his way to try to maximize that is by having Hart as the ball screen guy, having him be the screen setter for Brunson, for whoever. But he's you watch it. He's often at the top of the key, being the screen setter, being the dribble handoff guy, being the straight up roll man on many possessions. It's how they bring the center into the action, right? I think they know what they're doing, Cat. But what they're doing with Cat isn't particularly great. And again, find it very hard to believe this is the maximized version of what we can expect. H22, I just can't believe that's the type of offense we're running in a playoff game, man. I mean, I think you'd understand it more against, again, all due respect to the Pistons, but a team of a higher caliber, like a Boston or a Cleveland. You could understand how they can make you devolve into that, right? That'd be more understandable. To see it against the Pistons, and to see it against, forget the Pistons. They're a good team. To see it against as many teams as we saw it against to close the season, and nothing had been done. Nothing was done to adjust to that, either from a rotation standpoint, lineup usage standpoint, or tactically, how you're coaching them, how you're coaching the personnel to be deployed. Nothing changed. I mean, go have fucking Josh Hart set a fucking flare screen for somebody off the ball or something. Like, good God. Go and set a flare screen for Cat. Anybody, like, just do something with him off the ball where you can utilize the fact that his man is usually the center who doesn't want to leave the motherfucking paint, who isn't supposed to leave the motherfucking paint because they're guarding Josh Hart. You use that against your opponent. That's not occurring. It never occurs. I don't know what to say. I am so sick and tired of talking about this. I'm so sick and tired of talking about this because this is all we've talked about for like 3 months. And how many times can we have the same? I'm not blaming you or anybody here for bringing this up because I understand it, but like, it's so frustrating for me to talk about this all the time because it's like, I don't know what else there is to say that we haven't already said fucking months after month after month. What is there to say? There's nothing more to say. It's what it is. John Leary, too many Hart and Mitch minutes together. Yep. Agree with that. H22, I hate that shot McCall took to the rim. Other than that, I didn't mind the threes he took. I thought all the threes he took were good. They're shots he should take. I always think like, yeah, I didn't love the shot he took to the rim. I also think it's like funny because there's always this catch-22 with him where it's like, he wasn't super aggressive looking for a shot in game one. People were like really upset about that. And then, now he's a little bit more aggressive about it. It's like, well, don't take that shot at the rim. I understand it wasn't a good shot at the rim. I'm not questioning that. But it is kind of funny, kind of like how much of this swings so much with him. But yeah, I honestly, look, the end of the game for him was not great. I thought he played a good game tonight. And I thought his first half was really, really good. Kept them within touching distance more so than anybody else, I thought. John Leary, try not to overact to a loss, but it's kind of inexcusable being these dogfights of Detroit. No disrespect to them. They aren't contenders. Knicks are supposed to be contender status. I agree. And, I think a lot of the conversation has been that, well, what can you expect? It's not about the coach. This is the team. And, okay. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. Because I don't disagree with you. It's just, I think, where I've kind of been saying this all year, where I'm a little bit maybe more understanding of like, I didn't think the Knicks were necessarily a true contender coming into the season because I still felt they did not have the depth or the personnel to match up and beat a team of Boston's caliber, for example. And I still feel that way. I felt that way all season. I felt that before the season. I said it before the season. I said it throughout the season. But they should be a hell of a lot closer and look a hell of a lot more cohesive and have a much higher ceiling. They should have much higher ceilings in their performance levels than we've seen. And that is unquestionable to me. So we can nitpick on should they be a contender or what does it mean to be a contender or whatever. But they look a clear level minimum below a team like Boston or Cleveland for that matter, or OKC. And while that's understandable to a degree, I think the fact that you don't even feel like you're close, like you can't even touch those teams, that is about coaching. I'm sorry. I can't say it any other way. Kenny Meir. Pistons' strategy was to ignore Hart even more extreme tonight. Cat thought he had one-on-one with Harrison post, but Darren was winning at the rim. Yep. I don't know what else to say. I mean, bingo. Like that's I mentioned this earlier, but like the last shot Cat took was that post up he had on Tobias. He backs Tobias down into the paint. Hart's in the strong side corner, and his man, I think at that point it was actually Paul Reed, but Paul Reed's just standing in the paint. He's waiting for Cat. So Cat has to put up a contested shot. He misses it. But that's kind of the point. It's like, I don't know how you watch that as a coach. And like, what do you tell Cat? Oh, yeah, man, you got to just keep doing that. Like, he's not going to keep doing that because he's like, this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe he needs to. Maybe that needs to be the way he's wired. And he's like, all right, fine, fuck it. I'm just going to make it happen down here. I just don't think it's realistic. And honestly, I think it's ridiculous if that is anybody's expectation. John Leary. Rebounding was problematic the whole night, so that's probably the difference in the game. Top bit about on what went wrong in tonight's loss. It's a pretty unbelievable quote to me. That's a pretty unbelievable quote to me. I assume Mitch Robinson obviously played 20 minutes tonight. Played all his minutes at center. I don't even need to look that up. I don't think anybody needs to look that up. We know that. Karl Anthony Towns played 33 minutes tonight. My assumption would be 28 of those minutes, all the minutes that Mitch wasn't on the floor, were with Cat at the 5. So he played 5 minutes to 4 next to Mitch Robinson. If you were so worried about rebounding, why not make sure you put your best rebounder on the floor? And why not play your two big lineup? Like your best rebounding lineup in theory. Why not put them on the floor together? If that is really what your takeaway is from this fucking game, then why not do that? And if you didn't do that, then you failed. Like that's a huge fucking mistake. That's very, very fucking simple. That's an unbelievable quote to me. I can't believe that. Wow. Okay. My namesake, Ashwin, says Beasley was asked. We didn't take advantage of it. Yeah, he was terrible tonight. Didn't take advantage of it. And, at some point, you got to hope this team starts making fucking threes, but they've not, again, 10 of 35 tonight. I know they got hot last game in the fourth quarter, but they were bad for the most part for the first 3 quarters. They've got to find a way to get more threes, and they've got to start making more threes. Karl Anthony Towns cannot attempt 2 threes. Like, this is absurd. This is absurd. Karl Anthony Towns took as many threes as Josh Hart. He took less threes than Deuce McBride. He took 9 less threes than Mikal Bridges. He took 10 less threes than Jalen Brunson. And he took 2 less threes than OG Anunoby. Like, that can't happen. He's your best 3-point shooter. And you have to leverage him at the top of the key way more than they do. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, I really don't. It gets to such a frustrating level where it's like, again, you're talking about the same things over and over. It's like that Mike Brown clip, right? And over and over and over and over, whatever the fuck. It's ridiculous. Ziggy Small, you always talk about winning on the margins. No way to win on the margins with Tibbs. Yeah, he lost the margins today. I mean, he's been losing margins all season as far as I'm concerned. You won 51 games this year with your starting lineup being, I think they were a plus 1.7 net on the season. They played 25% of the team's minutes, and they were plus 1.87 net. And you won 51 games. If your takeaway from that is anything but we're not using our best lineups enough, and our starting lineup is not our best fucking lineup, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's it. That's what that is. That is what that tells you. You won 51 games, even though your most used lineup by far, and basically the most used lineup in the entire fucking league, 25% of all the Knicks minutes were that starting lineup. We're just a mere plus 187, which is literally like, that's like a 43-win pace. But you won 51 games playing, whatever. You won 51 games. I don't know, man. I think consistently there are better ways to use the personnel he has that he did not develop over the course of the season. Tonight, I did not think he pushed the right buttons at all. I thought he was way too lax in that third quarter. It was absurd to me as he just sat there watching the lead balloon and do absolutely nothing. But I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised because it's just kind of how it's been. Isaiah, their best big man defender out, and they couldn't run anything for Cat, and also letting a third quarter play on for so long without a change is insane. Yep. I echo all of those sentiments. Can't disagree with any of that. Eric E-Rock DL Mon. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mikal was wide open on 3. I'm sick. Yeah, he was wide open on 2 of those 3s. Sucks. Eshmaster, how many fucking times did we see them get a shot off or even start an action until there was 8 seconds or less in the shot clock? Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was crazy. It's just, I don't understand it. Like, you want to be a half-court team, be a half-court team. That's fucking fine. You can get into your offense so much faster than they do. And consistently, this is the thing this is the third year of this. This is the third year of having Jalen Brunson, where you see this all the time. it's like he gets the ball to bring the ball to the floor. He's just getting pressed the entire way, and nothing is done to help him. Like there's nothing being done to help him. You don't even have somebody staying with him that he can just throw the ball to the other side of the floor, and it's like, all right, Josh, bring the ball up. Why not? Why not? Like it's just it's so frustrating. And then yeah, he brings the ball up. He gets the ball across the floor with like 17 seconds left. And then by the time you're actually running anything, there's like 15 if you're lucky. The first action is usually some telegraphed dribble handoff pitch play or something. So that goes nowhere. And then, yeah, you have like 8 seconds left or whatever. And it just turns into somebody has to bail us out. It's just not good enough. Like, it's not good enough. It's not creative enough. And it's unfortunately too similar to what we've seen from iterations of this team over the last couple of years, which have vastly different personnel. If you keep ending up with similar results in terms of how things work out with just completely different personnel, that's just a feature of the coach. Forget if it's a coaching issue or not. That's a feature of the coach then at that point. That is telling you this is a result of how he wants to play or how he's choosing to play or how he's using the personnel available to him. Whatever it is, the results are this. And this is what they've been with different players. So, it's what it is. Kevin Pierre, I had a dream where I stretch big, would run pick and pops, and unravel defenses. Yep. I've had that dream many times. H22, I just don't get how the Brunson Cat pick and roll is non-existent. Man, when it was so good. I mean, again, I hate kind of like boiling it down to this, but it's very hard to run a Brunson Hart or Cat pick and roll when teams are so liberally helping off of Josh Hart, and it makes it harder to get quality pick and pop looks for Cat. It makes everything you're trying to do there just becomes harder when they're just crowding the paint. I mean, you saw it. You go back and watch the first half, you can see it very, very clearly where Josh Hart's in the corner on a lot of these possessions where they're trying to run it, and his man's basically just standing a foot with his feet in the paint, and then he steps outside every couple of seconds to reset and come back in. So even if Brunson or whoever turns the corner, they're going to the paint. There's like 3 guys waiting for them, or 3 defenders kind of like in the vicinity minimum. It's just too stagnant. It's too. I don't know what else to say. It's we could repeat the same conversation over and over again. Stacy, what's up?
How you doing, man? I'm not doing too well, but yeah, sorry, joined a little bit late, but not a fun one there.
No, it was not. Yeah, that was a pretty bad loss. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Is it okay to like not take like? Is it okay for me to feel like everyone's like the Pistons are a good team and this is fine? I don't think that's fine. To lose at home, like it's just it feels like they can get. Am I wrong? Let me ask you this first. Am I wrong in thinking that when the Knicks just like set up a real something in the half court that isn't just Brunson ISO, they can get whatever they want? Like this isn't a team that poses like Cleveland. I get it. Cleveland 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they they had these answers. I mean, they had two players that at some point in their careers would both be considered defensive players that are all defense. And Detroit doesn't have that. It shouldn't be this hard. And it doesn't look that hard when they just run some simple sets. But it was very disappointing. And I probably, I it's frustrating. But yeah.
I just don't agree. Like, I don't think they look good in the half court ever. I think they have like certain plays they run that are good, sure, and there are times you're
Well, I
gonna.
mean, their offensive rating was 6th in the league for the year.
Is that
It's not like
okay?
they're
But we're not talking
transition-heavy
about
team.
the regular season, Stacey. We're not talking about the regular season. And quite honestly, I don't really give a shit. They were 22nd offensive rating after the All-Star break. So for the better part, for 1/3 of the season, they have been a bad offense, flat out. Just not even like mediocre, a bad offense. And we're not talking about the regular season. We're not talking about playing teams that are all garbage. We're talking about a team in Detroit that was 8th in defensive rating. I think for basically the last 2/3 of the season. This is like a top 10 defense they're playing. What is the like? They have not looked good against an elite defense in a while. I mean,
Yep, I thought they looked pretty good yesterday or 2 days ago.
I thought that they
even the first 3 quarters when Brunson sucked, like
I would say that when they look good, it's about Brunson. It's about guys making shots.
That's where I disagree because I think like they get.
So your
get
opinion
good
is that the
looks.
Knicks can reach a championship offensive level, like nothing that tips
No.
structurally.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Is against these Detroit Pistons, they can get whatever look they want, and they screwed up by a lot of the possessions were just throwing the ball ahead and losing the ball on turnovers. Overpass. Schwinn, I know you agree with me. How many fucking open threes did they pass out of? Or pump fake out of and drive into a fucking midi? Come on.
But I don't understand what your point is. Like, this is what they've done all season. So at some point, that's your offense. Like, and I don't want to hear that, like, that's on. If it's not your coach,
no, but they've shown that they can.
Of course,
not
they
pump
can.
fake out of threes.
Right, but what you are is what you are on the aggregate. It's not what you do when everything is going well.
I see what you're saying. What I'm saying is that there is like they have the capability and they've shown it, and even the inclination to just be who they are, good enough to beat this Pistons team. That wasn't what we saw really for 7 out of 8 quarters so far. So what I'm saying is that it just, yeah, I mean, like where I'm at right now is that if we lose, we lose. Do I think the Knicks are a worse team than the Pistons? Absolutely. Do I think the Knicks are an equal team to the Pistons? Absolutely not. If this goes 6 or 7, yeah, I blame Tibbs. There's just, even without going into the details.
My point is, like, when you say the offense looks good, I don't think the offense ever looks good because it's like
no. So looks good is different.
They
I believe
like,
there's anything the Pistons pose to the Knicks that takes the Knicks out of rhythm.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that it's very hard to play offense 4 and 5. Like, that's just hard to do. I don't care who you have as your 4 guys. It's going to be hard to do. No other team, the only teams, like, Cleveland doesn't play a perimeter guy. Cleveland, hold on. Cleveland doesn't play a perimeter guy that doesn't space the floor. Boston does not play a perimeter guy that doesn't space the floor. OKC, the only perimeter guy that plays who doesn't space the floor is Alex Caruso, who is like one of the best on-ball defenders. And guess what? Alex Caruso isn't treated like, oh my God, we have to have Alex Caruso on the floor to close every fucking game that has ever been played in the history of the NBA. Like, like a guy like Isaac Okoro, you could be like, oh, well, he can't really shoot the ball. Do you think Isaac Okoro ever is going to close games for Cleveland? Like, this is the difference. Like, if you treat this guy not just like, it is one thing to be like, Josh Hart's an important part of our team. It's another thing to be like, Josh Hart is such an important part of the team that he has to start every game and he has to close every game and he has to play fucking 42 minutes.
Do you think that's all of it?
I think that's a massive fucking reason. Like, I don't know what else the reason could be. Like, I really don't know what the reason could be.
I watched Golden State close games with Jimmy Butler, non-shooter.
They scored 95 points. They scored 95 points.
Non-shooter.
They scored 95 points. They did not win that game.
I'm not even talking about that game. I'm talking about in general.
Yeah, but the general stuff does. In general, yeah, our offense is great. Like in general, our offense is great.
But
we're not playing. The playoffs are not in general. The playoffs are not.
What I'm saying is
you're playing different guys. You're playing the same fucking.
Can you let me finish? I promise. I promise. I'm going to get to a place where you would agree. I promise that. And if I don't, then, I will. I'll give you $5 on Pio My. They're playing Jimmy Butler,
to show
Draymond Green, and Gary Payton second. None of those guys. You leave those guys open from three. Even Jimmy. Like, watch how people guard Jimmy. Part of it now. Part of it is that the one shooter they do have is the greatest shooter that's ever lived. But they make it work because the guys know exactly what they're supposed to do. And I think that's our biggest thing is like when they get the ball, the first possession of the game told me it made me feel it didn't make me feel apprehensive about winning, but it made me feel like they get Brunson an open three, pump fakes, drives, kicks. Bridges Cat has an open three, pump fakes, drives. Bridges has an open three, pump fakes, drives. It's like, just take the shot, man. And it is across the team. Deuce does that. Deuce, like your whole purpose on this team is to take those threes. And I don't disagree with you that Hart is a problem, but I think it is more fundamental. Like, it's just, you watch Boston, we should be like Boston in many ways. We have shooters. I don't think, I think Derek White is, more equipped for what he does than Mikal Bridges maybe to be that role. But it's the instinct is always to pump fake. The instinct is always for OG, right? Like, he can shoot, but he wants to pump fake, post up. And it's just leaving so much on the table for them. That's what I feel like. And that's more than Hart. You can put Deuce in there, but even with Deuce, and I'm not like I said, it's not a disagreement about what you're saying with Hart. It's just we've talked about this, right? Like, Boston, they get the ball. Derek White gets the ball. Drew Holiday gets the ball. They know what they're going to do. They don't have to think about it. They know what they're going to do, just seeing what they see. That's not us. And, I think that's the gap because I think the talent is there.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you can, you can play non-shooters if you have some fucking cracked up system but
we're literally playing one. Like, that should not, I get that Hart compromises things. That shouldn't submarine our offense. That's what I'm saying.
I think it submarines your offense if everything you do is telegraphed. Like, I just don't agree with
exactly.
This.
So I'm more focused on the second part of that statement than the
right.
first.
But like, nobody's questioning that. Like, I've never questioned that. Yeah, you can have a fucking non-shooter on the floor. The Cavs play two of them.
So maybe the bigger problem is that it is telegraphed, but the Cavs aren't telegraphed.
Right. But either way, the point is, if you're going to have a guy on the floor and he's a perimeter player, no other fucking team, I don't care how good their system is, other than the fucking Warriors, because they have Steph Curry, who's a lunatic, gets away with it. None of them do. Or maybe it's not that they don't get away with it.
But is it just, that's what I'm going to ask you. Is it just because Steph Curry's a lunatic, or is it because they're very intelligent about how they use all of those guys?
I mean, I think the league has changed. I don't think they could win a championship. Like, that 2022 championship is still the most insane thing. I have no idea how they won it. That team didn't make the playoffs the next year, I don't think, right? Or no, they lost in the second round, whatever the hell it was. They weren't particularly great. And that's why they've had to make big moves after that. So I don't know how they did it. I don't think that you could win a championship playing that many non-shooters again in the modern league. Like, I don't think it works.
Well, we're playing one. That's the point, right?
Right. But you also don't use him intentionally in ways aside from the only thing we do is use him as an on-ball screener sometimes. That's it. I mean, what else is done? There's nothing else that's being done with him. To just you don't use him off ball to screen for anybody.
Well, what would you attribute? I'm sorry if you talked about this already. What would you attribute the lack of cat touches to in the second half? Because that was really.
I don't know. I'm not. You know what? I'll go watch the film 3 fucking times and I'll get back to you on that. I don't know. Apparently none of that's it's to me. It's about coaching. I don't really know what else to say about it. Like, why do you not go to Cat? I don't know. Why is that when Cat gets the ball, he's posting up Tobias Harris, but he can't get all the way to the rim because you have a fucking center on the floor every time. And you know what? When Mitchell Robinson's on the floor, I don't mind that. I don't mind that because if the center has to go over and help on Cat, Mitchell Robinson has a great opportunity to get an offensive rebound. That's part of the equation. If Josh Hart's on the floor and you are living in the same fucking world as when Mitchell Robinson's on the floor with Cat, that's a problem. That's not ideal. I'm sorry, it's not. And he's not playing elite enough defense to justify that trade-off. Like, to justify the trade-off of, if I'm going to have no spacing, if I'm going to have a non-spacer that effectively is being defended by the center on the floor with Cat, then in a lot of situations, not every situation, in a lot of situations, I'd prefer it be Mitchell Robinson. In other situations, I might prefer it be a guy like Deuce McBride who can space the floor and gets defended like a shooter. Or even if he doesn't get defended like a shooter, at least if he gets a fucking wide open 3, we'll actually shoot the fucking wide open 3. Like, when you just live in this world all the time of Cat plays almost all of his minutes with Josh Hart, I mean, we don't get to see this team in any other context. So there's something else to discuss. Like, we've had these same conversations for fucking 3 months now. There's nothing new. There's no new angle to this. There's no
with a better coach, did the Knicks sweep the Pistons?
I think I would not be even if they lost tonight. I probably do not feel very worried. Like, I'm worried now. Like, I am worried because tonight was exactly everything I was worried about coming into the series of what I perceive to be coaching losing margins.
How many double big minutes did we even get?
5.
Yeah.
But hey, rebounding was a big issue tonight.
It wasn't it?
Yeah, but hey, you can't play your double.
But I do think I will still stand on. I don't think Mitch is. I'll give him a break on Mitch because
I'm not. That's fine. You can do it. I'm not going to do it. He played him 33 minutes. If it was that bad, he shouldn't have played him 33 minutes against the Cavs. But he did. So I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. Like, you can't play him 33 minutes against the Cavs.
And he's doing it most of the time. I think if you know everything about Tibbs, he's not going to not play his best rebounder, a guy who's had clearly an impact. Like, he's not doing it just what you think he wants more spacing. Like, that's not.
I don't know what he wants. I know. I think it's very basic. He's obviously going to play Cat because Cat is, he's going to be an all-NBA player. And he wants Josh Hart on the floor. And he knows that Hart, Cat, Mitch is probably not an ideal lineup. I think it's that simple. I really do. I don't think it has anything to do with Cat. I don't think it has anything to do with he doesn't value Mitchell Robinson. I think it's him saying, I would rather have Josh Hart on the floor, and I'll value having Josh Hart on the floor over Mitchell Robinson. And if that means I don't play double big as much as I should or as much as I could, so be it. And I think the only reason we got as many double big minutes, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Think about when did we get a big chunk of double big minutes in game 1? It was because when Josh Hart was in foul trouble. That's it.
I agree, and I think you said this on the strict cord, but I don't think that I don't think there's any reason. I'm not even talking about logic. I'm talking about Tibbs' logic or what I can intuit of it. If Mitch was ready to play 30 minutes, I think he would. Like, he loves Mitch, and he is all about rebounding and all of those things. I mean, did you feel like the Knicks played a bad defense? The thing is, it felt like the Knicks played a bad defensive game. Like, down the stretch, I was not worried about the Knicks getting a good shot. I was more worried about they just don't have answers.
They gave 100 points. They gave 100 points.
That's not that bad, right? That's why I'm trying to reconcile that.
I don't think their defense was that bad. I think it was.
But I think in the moment, it felt very like Cade's going to get to a spot. They have to double. It'll create rotation, or they're going to offensive rebound. But I'm trying to reconcile that, I guess. Like, how would you reconcile that? Because I don't think maybe you felt like in the moment you weren't worried, but that's how
No, I
felt.
mean, I think you're always naturally going to be more worried on defense than you are on offense because
I get that, but like I didn't feel that way game one. I'll say that.
I mean, I think when they're pissing their pants, it's a little bit different, and they were turning. And it wasn't just they were missing
I'm talking
shots.
about first 3 quarters. Like, I felt like they were making not bullshit, but it was like, okay, this is an easy fix.
I just think Cade made more shots, and they did a worse job on Cade today. I don't think it had to do anything else.
Yeah, OG didn't have a great game, did he?
No, I thought OG was bad today. All right, I need to get back to more comments here. John Larry says this game is officially confirmed to me. We just need a new head coach. Even if we win this series, we have no shot next series. I don't know. I'm really down after this one. Yeah, don't disagree with that.
What would you have done differently, specifically?
I mean, I probably would never play Josh Hart with Mitch ever again. I think that'd be something, and that's very easy.
What if Cat is not on the floor?
He wasn't on the floor, and I still wouldn't do it
with her. You still wouldn't do it, okay? Mitch with any non-shooter.
Maybe like in some defensive situation, sure, but not like in the normal course of gameplay. No, I would not do that, or at least I would be trying to minimize that. Not kind of go back to it like he did it in the first half and did it again in the second half. Which again, that just tells me that's his rotation. That's what he thinks is a best rotation. If you do it in both halves and you do it basically at the same time in each half, I mean, that says everything. So, yeah. Free throw attempts, Jordan Bub tonight, 34 Pistons, 19 Knicks. New York versus everybody. Yeah, I mean, the free throw discrepancy is what it is. I think we can complain about it, but like personally, even with that, the Knicks had it
did seem to be a game one. I think we got a better whistle, and that they got a better whistle tonight.
I don't think we got a better whistle in game one. I honestly, I'm not kidding. We don't need to debate it. I just totally disagree with that. Tonight,
game two, you'd agree we didn't.
Yeah, it's not really debatable. I think.
There was one where fucking Duran just shoved Cat and he made a shot.
Well, there was one where OG was clearly. It was late in the game. I think it might have been on one of the McHale threes where
you get pushed. Yeah.
Yeah, he just got two hands shoved under there. I'm like, I don't know how you don't call that, but okay. But
and OG doesn't flop really.
No, yeah, and my thing, and then you got the fucking ridiculous Schroeder free throws in the first quarter where he literally isn't touched and just goes flying. All I'll say is like this stuff matters to me more if the margins you can control you did and the Knicks didn't. And that's, we can talk about players, but I think again that mostly comes down to me for coaches. Like if you fuck around and do stupid shit and if you keep playing the stupid starting lineup that has not been very good for a long time now, you get what you deserve. Like he got bailed out in game one in a lot of ways. Didn't happen tonight. Okay. Like, hey, he keeps doing stupid shit. It's what it's going to be. Jared R says, can we please try 5-out options, not just with Shamit for 3 minutes? Hart was good tonight. It's hard to be mad, but can we try? Refs are awful. Hart, it's not about Hart individually, though. This is like where it's so frustrating to talk about this because it's never about Hart individually. Hart individually is obviously a good player. He's a useful player. He's a quality player. He's very well worth his contract. I'm thrilled that he's on the Knicks, and I'll do that trade every single day of the week. That was a great trade for the Knicks. But when you treat him the way we're treating him,
Cam Reddish?
No, definitely not. I mean, when you treat him the way he's being treated, he has to justify it at a higher level than just like he's having a good game. And because his entire value is about stuff that requires him to kind of like have the ball almost, right? Like offensively, he doesn't help you space the floor. So you don't get like there's no like non-box score element to what he's doing offensively is kind of the best way to think about it, right? Like, yeah, he's going to help you push pace. So he'll score sometimes or get assists or whatever. He's good at getting downhill when teams blitz Brunson and he can go 3-on-4. And so there's stuff he can do, obviously, that's very valuable. And yeah, he'll pop up with the occasional three, like he had a corner 3 today in the first half. But he's not providing anything that isn't captured in the box score by just existing on the floor. He doesn't get treated as a shooter. Teams aren't running him off the line. Like there isn't any of that there. So it's just a difficult thing to talk about with him because it always feels like you're shitting on the guy. Where mostly I'm just like, what if we played him 32, 33 minutes instead of 44 minutes
What
every
did he play
night?
tonight?
He played 40 minutes tonight, I believe.
Yeah, he played 28, I think, game 1, right? So
yeah, which was foul trouble induced, not because it had nothing to do with, Tibbs is turning over a new leaf. I think he played 22 minutes in the second half of game 1, if I'm not mistaken. I think he played 22 minutes at the end in this second half today as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I mean,
it's also not Shamit. I'll push back on this a little bit because did it feel not to you like Deuce and Shamit just sucked ass tonight?
I didn't think Deuce sucked ass. I thought he was not great.
I mean, he has fucking terrible turnovers, and he banked in a 3. Great. I'm not gonna chalk that up to good process. I didn't think either of them was very good.
Look, I'm just gonna. I'm not.
I'm not saying that means you have to play hard 40 minutes, but
I'm just gonna say I have a completely different view.
And Payne was fucking terrible too.
I have a completely different view of how Deuce McBride played tonight than you did.
That's really?
Yeah, I don't think he had a god awful game. I don't think we need to write fucking soliloquies apologizing to Tyrese.
I did write one, and I'm ready to give one right now because I hated watching him tonight.
Yeah, that sucks for you, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I don't agree with you.
His stat line is not bad. 8 points, 3 for 7 shooting. No free throws, so the true shooting probably isn't that bad. But I mean, one of the threes was banked in. Had an awful turnover, which I think was a bad call. But
so then, how the fuck are you getting on him for that? Oh, I thought it was a terrible call, but he turned the ball over.
I said it was a bad call. I said it was a terrible call.
No, it's a bad call.
But he got himself in that position.
If it's a bad call, it's a bad call, man.
No, but he was in the fucking corner, and he's trying to he couldn't do something. Like that's on him.
It's a bad call.
And the fact it went out of bounds was lucky to begin with, and it went off him, or they said it did. I don't think he played well. I've seen him play really well in the playoffs. I also think he struggles with guards like Schroeder, who are quicker, slipperier, crafty veterans. He struggled with TJ McConnell last year. He figures it out. He figured it out this year with TJ McConnell.
I don't think this conversation matters until we have a coach who actually is going to be legitimate about any of this stuff. So until that point in time, I don't give a shit about talking about Deuce McBride.
Are you at the point right now where you're like, if we lose to the Pistons, we'll move on and that's fine?
I hope so.
We don't?
I don't think there's any world where we should lose to the Pistons and Tibbs comes back. Like, if that's the case, then.
But is that kind of your silver lining? That's what I'm latching onto.
No, it's not a silver lining to me. I'm sorry, I'm never going to agree with people that are like, I'm rooting for us to lose. So
no, that's different. That's
I know you're not saying that. I know you're not saying that. But I'm saying that's something I've seen people say. No, there's no fucking silver lining to losing a series you should lose because we don't get a better draft pick from it. We don't what's the
it sucks. We have to hear nothing. We lost to Cade Cunningham.
I don't give a shit about that. I don't give a shit. I can mute Cade Cunningham on Twitter. I can mute Pistons. I can mute 7,000 words so I don't see any of that shit. That doesn't bother me. I don't care about that shit. The Knicks should win this series. If they lose this series, it'll suck because they should win this series. And now you've wasted an entire year. And quite honestly, I already feel like we wasted an entire year. Because what did we learn about this team that we didn't already know? What did we learn? Brunson's awesome at basketball. Cat's awesome at basketball. Josh Hart's good. Mikal's good. Maybe not as good as a lot of people thought. I could have fucking told you that 2 years ago.
I think we learned a little bit about how Mitch can help. And again,
but did we learn that?
A little bit. I don't think 30 minutes against.
Hold on. Did we learn that? Or did we just see Mitch play basketball again? Because I don't think it was learned. I think we knew Mitch was good. We're just like, oh, Mitch is good again. Good to see.
I think we learned. I mean, it's one game against Boston, but the fact that he held up well out there and Cat looked actually good on defense against Boston, which is a team that should fucking kill him. That's something you learned. But to your point, yeah, I agree. There was a lot more to be explored.
I'm sorry, Stacey, we learned nothing from this team. You could have rolled out there, started this starting lineup, run most of the rotations that Tibbs ran, And even me or you, as complete fucking dumbasses, probably could have stumbled into like 46 wins this year. Just because, like how is that what he did difficult? Like, we knew what the starting five was going into the season. We had really good health compared to most of the league. I think we had like,
I mean, OG played 74 games.
we had
That's if you told me that before the season.
we had great injury luck. You got all NBA seasons from your point guard and your center. Like, this is not. We learned nothing about this team. We didn't learn anything new because we don't do anything creative. Everything we do is the same thing. We do the same thing because this is what we do, and all we have to ever do is execute better and give better effort and rebound better, and everything will be perfect. That's all we learned this year because it's the same thing over and over again. Kenny Muir, 5 threes in 2 games.
This is insane.
5 threes in 2 games for Cat. All the same issues from regular season showing up in playoffs. Win or lose, the front office needs to do what's necessary with this head coach. I agree. Look, my whole thing coming into the playoffs was all the regular season shit that we talked about. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the sense of now everything that matters is here. It's in front of you right now. Let's see. Can he make adjustments? Can he be tactically astute? Are we going to see him adjusting to how team, like all that type of shit? All of your actual goals are here right now. So for it to be basically, to your point, Kenny, basically the same. And in a lot of ways, the only difference we saw was because in game 1, there was all this weird foul trouble in the first half, especially with Josh Hart. I mean, today's game, I think it's as bad a game as he's coached all season, as far as I'm concerned.
Is it worse than Game 6, Game 5 against Miami?
I mean, it's the same thing. There's no creativity. There's no willingness to really try anything. I mean, in Game 6, he finally went 5 out with like 2 minutes left in the game. So I guess that was better because he did that. But
a lot of this comes back to Brunson, who had some incredible shots. How much of this comes back to Brunson, and how much of it is, you talk about, I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is Michael Jordan, but in the 80s, Michael Jordan couldn't get over the hump. There's other things involved. The Pistons aged, the Lakers aged, but Phil Jackson got him to move the ball more, right? Is that what the team needs? I'm not saying it's the triangle, but just a coach that's going to hold him to that. And how much of that is Tibbs telling him to do that? How much of that is, I don't know, but that seems to be kind of where we are. Like, we have this amazing player, but it doesn't amplify the rest of the team most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we're just finding different ways to say we don't think Tibbs is the coach for this team. Like, I don't know. I don't think we're breaking any new ground here for either of us or for most people that are probably in this chat. It's what it is. Like,
I mean, would this be an embarrassing loss if the Knicks were to lose this series or even go to 7? Would that be embarrassing for the Knicks?
If they win in 7?
Yeah. Because I just don't have respect to this Detroit team at all. It's Cade and a bunch of guys.
I mean, if they win in 7, who cares? Like, I just, you're not being judged on what you do in the first round.
But also, if they win in 7 and then get fucking curb stomped by the Celtics, then that's like, both of those are part. Like, if you're going to say that, I think you have said that if they make it competitive against the Celtics, push it to 6 or 7, that matters. I think it should also matter if they have to go to 6 or 7 against a team that, frankly, they're, on order of magnitude better in terms of talent. And maybe they're not. Maybe I'm underestimating the Pistons.
I mean, I agree. Like, I just don't understand the question because yes, of course that matters. I've never.
You're saying it matters if they have to go to 7, like in terms of your evaluation.
I mean, to me, you can go 6 or 7, and then you play Boston, and if that's a competitive series, that probably changes things. Like, that's what matters. This series doesn't matter. Win the series and then go play a team that matters, and then let's talk about it. If you lose the series, get the fuck out. No matter what. I mean, even if you win the series, you should probably get the fuck out. But yeah. Jordan Bub. Tibbs on why he closed Mitch Robinson in the first half. Mitch was the one guy rebounding. Okay, cool, man. Great, awesome coaching. John Lenny, the fact we played this bad and lost by 4 makes me think Detroit isn't that great. They're not that great. I mean, I think they're good. They won by 6, I think, right? Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're good. But the Knicks should be beating them. The Knicks should be beating them. They're a good team. The Knicks should be beating them.
Sweep them.
The Knicks should be beating them and should be comfortable. Hayase Eel. I hope I pronounced that right. Blast the senile man. Heyo. Kenny Muir. Knicks didn't deserve to win this one. 1-1 feels right for the series so far. Yeah, I think that's fair. John Leary, why does Tibbs do hockey subs? Did he do a hockey sub today? I think he was a little bit more staggered. Either way, the bench.
But it was staggered and didn't make any sense, right? To your point, he's playing Mitch with Josh Hart. It's like the big thing Josh Hart gives you when Cat's on the floor is rebounding. You don't need that. Play Deuce there, right? So,
yeah.
I don't think he did hockey subs today. I just subs didn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think he did hockey subs today, but the subs didn't really make sense. 3-point volume remains an issue even in game 1. Agreed. Matthew Mahuda, we have the talent advantage, and we needed a 21-0 run in game 1 to avoid being down 2-0. Brunson needing to become a hero down the stretch isn't the ideal postseason offense. It isn't the ideal regular season offense. It isn't ideal offense, period.
Especially when you have Cat. Like, it was one thing when we had Dante as the second option, but we have Cat. We have Bridges. It's tough. It hurts to say, but Deuce has regressed. I wouldn't say he's regressed. I just think they're asking him to do things that he's just not as capable of.
I mean,
he's never going to create.
On the subject of stupid things,
I thought he would at the beginning of this year when I was like, why did they draft Kolek? He's not a point guard. Like, Deuce can do it. He can't. So it is what it is. He's not so good a shooter that he makes some like a Dante type player. It is what it is. But I don't think he's regressed. Like, he's still a good defender, and he's
regressed as a finisher this year. But maybe last year was just like.
But he keeps trying to fucking dunk everything. That's the worst part.
Even his layups and stuff. He just hasn't. He has not had a good season at the rim. But maybe last year was more of like an outlier in that sense. I don't know. He's still not played that many minutes in his career. That's worth mentioning. And I actually think.
I mean, you don't fucking punt the guy, but
I think his defense has improved. I know tonight is definitely not the night to bring that up, but I think his defense has improved. It's a lot. I actually thought last year was a little bit overrated quite often, but this year I think it's a lot closer to what I expected. He's not had a good playoff so far, but the playoffs can be fickle and things can change quickly. I know now we all remember Dante's playoffs fondly in a lot of ways, but he struggled majorly throughout the course of that first round series against Philly. Obviously, huge shot in game 2, but he didn't close 3 of the first 4 games, I believe, or at least I know he didn't close 3 of the games in the series in regulation anyway. I know he didn't close the end of game 5. He didn't close the end of game 1. Pretty sure he didn't close the.
He was bad for most of the series.
Right. So, like, these things can be fickle. So, I'm not going to close the book on can Deuce like step up for us in the postseason right now. But yeah, it's
in fact a lot of the talk of like Deuce can just replace Dante was happening during the first 4 games of that series, right? Until Dante had that great game on Maxey and went off on offense too. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think the best way to put this, I wouldn't say Deuce has necessarily regressed. I think,
but he hasn't taken the.
Yeah, he has not taken a step. Yeah. He hasn't taken a step. David Goodman says campaign is a big reason we won game 1 and he barely played tonight. How can anyone defend this coach? Again, I'll just say it. I think
campaign fucking sucked ass. Sorry,
he
David.
Sucked in the first half, but I also think it's fair to say if he wins you, it's not a terrible thing to just be like, let me give him 2 minutes. I mean, they were stuck in mud in the third quarter.
But I think that's I get him. Like, did Brunson sit? He sat when he had to shit. That's what
Yeah.
it seemed like. But I wasn't clamoring for campaign minutes today.
I wasn't clamoring for it, but I do think he might. I think if a guy wins you a game, like the way he helped them
But it
win
seemed
game
like
one,
Detroit had adjusted though to what he was
I
doing.
don't. Did they adjust or did he just play bad to start the first half?
I think like they were keying in on his drives. They know like he has two things he's gonna do. He's gonna shoot the three, or he's gonna get to that like mid area, and they keyed in on that. And especially when you're playing him with bench lineups without Brunson, without Cat, that's all it's gonna be. Even when you do play with Cat. So I think they keyed on that, and at that point, it's like, all right, well,
I don't know. The lineup that he did really well with, that he did the best with, was with Brunson. We didn't see any of that in this game. So,
yeah,
I
I definitely agree with that. That would have been a.
If you don't try things all season, then you're stuck kind of having to play roulette in the playoffs, and it's not great. But hey, at least we won 51 games, and Tibbs was able to play the starters 25% of our minutes in the regular season. Hayase Eel says, disgusting to play of coaching. This is complete malfeasance. Good word. Dividends must go. John Larry Schroeder can't get that good of a look from 3 down the stretch. Yeah, I think Brunson after the game took blame for it. I don't care what he says. I think he's eating shit there for Josh Hart. Hart fucked that up. Yeah. Walham postgame is just talking about toughness and want will. Well, kudos to Wally Zerbiak.
That's gonna be the narrative, though. That's what kind of fucking sucks about this. But the Knicks are on the other side of that.
Yeah. Zoning permit. We got Cat to space and shoot. 2 3-point attempts makes it look like we are freestyling. Watching Cavs in Boston yesterday and today, I'd be more worried if alarm bells aren't ringing the front office. I mean, to me, the way a lot of reporters are talking about Tibbs makes it feel like it's not just us talking about it. Or at least it's not just us weighing the merits of Tom Thibodeau, as the long-term coach of this team. Sorry, trying to get to as many comments as I can. Unapologetically, Jay. Tibbs got to go. His rotation was worse than usual. I agree. I don't even know if it was worse than usual. It was just it's like
you agree with Tibbs got to go no matter what.
Basically, at this point, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to see from this stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna play Boston. It'll be competitive. I don't know.
Well, roster changes, but
yeah, but that I'm not doing the roster thing again with him. He's had plenty of talented rosters at this point. At some point, like, I'm sorry if this.
But this is the first one that would be considered championship worthy, right?
So you can't judge a coach until then?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you said he had plenty of rosters. So I'm just saying this is the
he's
first.
He's lost 3 series as a playoff coach in New York. All of them as underdogs or as favorites. Sorry.
Yeah, so Atlanta, they shouldn't have been favorites.
But
Miami, Miami agree 100%. Last year they had the injuries.
All I'll say about the Atlanta series is I think if your team constantly devolves into like bullshit offense, like I don't know, we can say they shouldn't have been favored.
Elf, and it was a stupid thing, but he developed an identity for that team, and it was their first year.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to kill him for losing the Atlanta series. Lost the Miami series. That was terrible.
That was terrible.
The Pacers series, yeah, we can. Look, they had a lot of injuries.
But I don't think even you would put the Pacers series on.
I wouldn't say. I'm not going to say I'd put it on him, but you punted 2 games in Indiana because you just decided randomly that you were going to start Precious again, even though we knew all season that didn't work.
And we also knew
Deuce, like he started in Game 5 and we won the game by like toward the 25 points, whatever the fuck we won it by. Like it's not even about if we win or lose. It's at least play the option that makes sense. To play the option that was actually good in the regular season versus the one that sucked ass. And if you constantly go against the grain and make decisions that don't make sense statistically, and also don't try anything in the regular season, so that when you don't try those things in the playoffs, we're like, well, what is he supposed to do? I don't know. Like, he can't play Randall at the 5 because we never, how's he supposed to play Randall at the 5? I don't know. You didn't try it all year. So I'm just supposed to assume you couldn't do it because you just didn't do it. Like, I don't know. You're probably right. But if you never try it, then how the fuck do you know for sure? And we never try anything. Nothing is ever tried. Nothing is ever attempted. He makes decisions on how the personnel is deployed for the most part. And once he believes something, it's very, very hard for him to switch up on that. And he constantly will revert to, he will always err on the side of his kind of biases. Like the Josh Hart thing this year is a perfect example of this. There's nothing else to say. Like, that's perfect. HP Greg, but Tibbs outcoached JB. Yeah, I always thought that was a little bit. I think JB and Tibbs are very similar as coaches. I'll put it that way. Unapologetically Jay again. The ball doesn't move. Brunson has to adjust the game. He doesn't push the ball. I think that's intentional. I also think it's hard to push the ball if you're getting a full court press the entire way and nothing is really done to make your life easier. And this has been going on now for 3 years in the playoffs. This is what Indiana did to us last year, right? Indiana, the entire series, they're just pressing them the whole way. Every possession, right from the start of game 1 through the last possession you played in game 7. Same thing. Again, at some point, if that just keeps happening, I'm assuming that is not on the players. James Edward III, Tim said he doesn't believe the game was called consistently on both sides. I agree with that. I also don't particularly care right now about that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be close.
Rick James, I think we overrate this offense. We still only have one creator, and this offense has been garbage in the second half of the season. Yeah, I mean, I think that the offense could use another creator. I also think they could probably use the guys they have a lot better than they do. And I don't know how I rate the offense. Like, I don't think it's historically great or something. I think it's a lot better than 22nd.
It could be, though.
For
like, that's
a third of the season.
If everything you believe is true and they still finish 6th or whatever with Cat and Brunson, then yeah, it should be it has the potential to be historically great, but it isn't.
Yeah. Yep. Everyone has decoy on offense. Even our All-NBA center shoots threes. It's coaching. I think it's hard to even say anybody's a decoy. They're just floor spacers. Decoys are deceptive. I don't know anything we do that's very deceptive.
So decoy is too kind.
Yeah. I would say they're bystanders. It's fucking insane that Cat is treated. This HP Greg. It's fucking insane that Cat is treated like he's some bum every single game, and we've done nothing to maximize his talent, even when he clearly has it going. Yep. Tom Thibodeau talks about Brunson's performance and tonight's officiating. He battled like crazy. Huge discrepancy in free throws. Huge. I've got to take a look at that. Okay. Please take a look at that.
I mean, the officiating it seemed to favor the Pistons tonight. I said it favored the Knicks in game 1. The free throw disparity, you can look at.
I would like him to look at a lot of things before free throw disparity is where I stand on this. Let your video nerds handle that and submit tape to the fucking league offense. Why don't you focus on some other shit? Zoning permit. Tibbs is like Jose Mourinho, 2015 president of the era of Guardiola and Klopp. Tough guy coaching can only take you so far. Yep. I think he deserves credit for as far as he's taken the Knicks. They are not getting to the promised land with him, and that's just where it is. Brian Benjamin, why was the foul call so egregiously one-sided?
Bickerstaff, fucking dickhead. I mean, he didn't say shit after game 1. He probably knew it was just going to the league office.
Yeah.
I think the league wants this to be a good series. So, I mean, even when the Knicks won a challenge, they fucking called a pretty egregious illegal screen on Mitch afterwards. That kind of tells you where it's headed.
Yeah. 1 second. John Larry, Tibbs learned nothing from game 1. It truly is crazy. Yep. Poxter, Knicks front office cannot be happy seeing Cat put up 2 3-point attempts in a playoff game. I don't know if any of us should be happy about that.
I'm not.
This has just been an issue all year. So,
well, there were so many times when it feels like we need to make up points. We're not getting stops. And it's like, let's go OG post up. It's like, maybe that'll work. It does a good amount of time, but they're not going to close that gap.
Yeah. Nora, is it right to say Tibbs is so obsessed with the margins that he stubbornly ignores the margins between the margins? I just don't think I think the one margin he always talks about rebounding, right? That's like the thing he always brings it back to, which is fine. But I think he has a very big blind spot for rebounding. And what I mean by that is he gets so overly focused on it at the expense of other things. And then he also just doesn't seem to identify necessarily the right solutions to that. And in a case like tonight, like where it's like, hey, just play Mitch more then with Cat. Maybe that'll fix your, at least try it, give it a shot. I don't know. I think the quote about rebounding tonight is very weird. And then to say that Mitch was the only one rebounding and then not play him much at all in the second half is extremely odd. Jared R. Brunson being amazing paradoxically hurts the Knicks. They just believe he will bail them out no matter what. Cat's only 3-pointer this series was often inverted pick and roll. Why not run that more? There are a lot of things I think I would like to see more. I'll throw one right here. Okay, you want to use Hart as roll man because that's the way you kind of have to use him, or that's the way you've decided you want to use him, because of how teams are defending him and whatever. Okay, why do we never see the Knicks run like a double drag screen ever? I don't remember the last time we saw them run a double drag screen for Brunson. So you could have Cat and Hart set screens. Hart can be the roll man, Cat can pop. We never see that. I don't remember the last time I saw that. If if it's been done recently, I would love to see the clips of it. And I wish we would do it more because I think that's actually a way to keep Cat involved, keep Hart in the game, and challenge defenses defensively. Challenges defenses defensively. Wow, good job. Challenge teams defensively in ways that can free up Cat, or at least is just, again, a little bit more creative, a little bit more dynamic. But we don't see it. Unapologetically, Jay, we miss iHeart. Yes, we do. And it's why him leaving is an underestimated kind of element to all of this season. It is what it is. I've talked about that plenty. Rick James running an ABC offense. Yep. HB Greg, if we're not going to utilize Cat more effectively next year, we should have kept Dante and trade Randall for some basic competent big. I think this just speaks to you need a different coach. It's really what it is. Vivek Dadanya, I really don't get it. We don't spam pick and pops. Cat and Brunson should have 10 3-point attempts each. 10's a lot, but Cat should definitely have more than fucking 2 in a game. Like, he should never only have 2 in a game, unless he's 15 to 20 from the paint or something. Then
but even with a better coach, can you get Brunson more attempts off ball? I think other teams struggle. Like the Pistons struggle with. I think Cade would be great as a catch and shoot guy. He had, I think, 3 or 4 3-point attempts first game. I don't know what he had tonight, but sometimes it's just tough, right? You have to get to get a front court player who can generate that is tough. That's part of what made Randall so valuable for the Knicks. Cade had 4 3-points. He's a better shooter than 1 for 4, right? But that does seem to be a little bit of a tough quagmire for the Knicks, even if they get rid of Tibbs.
Sorry, what do you think is a tough quagmire?
Getting Brunson more catch and shoot 3-point attempts.
I am not entirely sure that's a huge quagmire.
Well, where are they coming from? Because you can ask him to pull up, but he isn't Dame right now.
I think a different coach pushes different buttons, and you can generate spot up.
So, are you saying he's going to pull up from logo range more, or are you saying that?
I mean, I think he doesn't need to pull up from logo. He can take more pull up threes than he does. That's for damn sure. I mean, tonight he took what, like 5 or something, 6? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he definitely
but
should do that.
The ideal is you get him more catch and shoot threes, right? So,
yeah. All right, moving on. Poxter, I can't really blame Hart because of how obsessed Tibbs is with him, but it was super frustrating, posing no threat, and also have his regular defensive brain farts. I didn't think his defensive brain farts in general were. I thought he was fine defensively for the most part. The one on Schroeder is obviously fucking awful, and at the worst possible time. But yes, I agree. Like, it's why I find myself being like, stop shitting on Josh Hart, because I don't. It's not really about Josh Hart. So how he's being used, how the coach is using him, and he should just play less. If he played less, I think we'd all feel very different about him. Zoning permit and JB and Hart have more defensive breakdowns than the normal ones, considering how much the Villanova chemistry is beaten down our throats. Yes. Brian Benjamin, feel better, Schwinn. Thank you. Huck Frazier, can you promote my new Open AI wrapper? Sure, man. Let me know. Shoot me a DM. The Pistons have already zoning permit. The Pistons have already won the possession when Cat McCall and OG touch the ball when it's not a wide open shot. I don't know the fix for that. Regardless, well, you're not getting them wide open shots, and you're not getting good offense. They're not having to rotate. They're not in rotation. You're not putting defenses in rotation, and they're not in rotation because they don't need to be. Like, there are so many times I've seen McCall turn the corner on his man, but he actually has nowhere to go because teams are loaded up in the paint. And then, then he's going to take something. And look, I'm not saying he hasn't settled for mid-range too much, but there are plenty of times I saw Brunson turn the corner today multiple times, and he's like, fuck, there's nowhere to go, actually, because everybody's right here. Like, this is not good offense. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to agree that, like we can sit here and talk like players need to do this better, that can do that better, and I won't disagree with any of that. But until we actually put the players in a position where they are the margin, they are the difference in what's the issue and the primary difference, I'm just not going to care, because quite honestly, there's no excuse forget, even if you think the Knicks personnel is overrated, it's still better than what the Pistons had today. And there's no excuse for their offense to look as inept as it was today, and for the Pistons to, quite frankly, look a lot more competent on the offensive side of the ball than we did.
Yeah, I mean, there's how many non-shooters are they playing, right? They got Osar and fucking Stewart and Duran, and they're not good. It looks so much easier for them,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it always feels like this to me. It always feels like our offense requires so much more from Brunson to create. And yeah, maybe that's partially on him, but I've seen this too much with different players for Tibbs teams forever. His point guards always get production because he's great at putting the ball in his point guards' hands and letting them cook, but like, there's limitations to that. And it requires them to make the right reads all the time. They're not automatics. There are no easy things that are built into the offense. It's all kind of creation or self-creation on their part in pick and rolls. Brandon Williams, Tibbs' lack of offense and just having Brunson ISO the whole game, and people are mad at his teammates not having enough shots. Poxer, I get OG being bad tonight, but I feel like our defensive scheme being so reliant on him isn't great. I mean, even if we want, I agree, OG was not good tonight. He was bad tonight. They gave 100 points tonight. Like, you should win the game.
It was a slow game, but it probably wasn't a bad defensive performance.
No, I don't know what the defensive rating was, but I would bet it's like 100 or something like that. It's probably like right where it was. I think worrying about the defense on a night like this is not the right thing. It's very obvious the offense is a much bigger issue.
And I don't think. Do you think the Pistons did much to make them uncomfortable? They were physical, but I don't think they did much to make the Knicks really uncomfortable. Right? We just weren't tapping into stuff.
Well, I mean, I think you made it easier for them to make you uncomfortable. Again, like, I don't want to. I just can't have the same fucking conversation over and over again. I can't do it. So there's very obvious fucking reasons why it's easy for them to play defense against us. Until Tibbs wants to do anything about that, it is what it is. And yes, they were allowed to grab and hold the Knicks in a way that was ridiculous and overwhelming. But yeah, I think it goes beyond that. Can blame the ref all you want. This is Brandon Williams again, but Tibbs has to coach this offense. Makes no sense. Cat only shoots 2 threes and only 11 shots. Bridges the only one who kept the Knicks in the game. I agree. I thought Bridges the only guy that kept him in the game in the first half. And it's why it sucks that he missed those threes at the end of the game, because I know everybody's going to fucking slander him for that. But, he was uninvolved in the second half too. I think he got he had 1 3, or he had 2 threes maybe. I don't know what the hell. He had a couple shots. That was about it. Yeah. I'm trying to get to more comments. Matt Weiss, really frustrating because if the Knicks had pulled off this comeback, I think the series is over. Hard for a young team to come back mentally blowing their first 2 playoff games in the fourth. Yep. I don't think there's any
Who's Matt Weiss?
He's Marty.
Is that Marty Scorsese?
It is. It's Martin Scorsese, guys, for the presence of greatness. Jordan Bubb through 2 games. Cat 20% from 3. Mikal 23%. OG 25%. I mean, these are really small sample sizes, but yes, need to get the volume up. Need to get their percentages up. No 2 ways about it. Sorry, trying to go this. Brandon Williams, the best teams are not good rebounding teams either, and they don't have to worry about rebounding when they have good offense. Yeah, I think
look at the top 3 teams. They're good rebounding teams. OKC, Boston has beat us in the offensive glass. And
Boston's the only one that I think is actually a good rebounding team.
Is OKC not a good rebounding team with Hartenstein and Cat? Or Hartenstein and Chet?
Pretty sure they weren't. I can check right now. Defensive rebound percentage, the Celtics were 7th. The Cavs were
I was thinking about offensive.
15th. OKC was 16th. So they're okay at defensive rebounding. The Knicks are 18th, so they're not vastly different from Cleveland or Oklahoma City.
That's defensive, but I would imagine OKC is a good offensive rebounding team, right?
I would be very surprised if they were. OKC is 21st.
Hartenstein?
OKC is 21st in offensive rebound percentage.
So why are we crying about Hartenstein? They suck at rebounding.
Well, they were way worse last year. 12th. The Knicks are 12th in offensive rebound percentage. The Cavs are 13th in offensive rebound percentage, and the Celtics are.
I think it's fair to the point, though,
50th.
From the Post that it's not the be all end all, and it sometimes seems like we treat it like that. So,
yeah, somebody does. Kid Kuro will never understand Tibbs trying to use Cat like a Mitch when Mitch is right there on the bench. If Cat doesn't have it offensively and defensively, just put Mitch in. Easiest decision to make. Just play them together. I don't know why it needs to be even either or. Tibbs. Huge discrepancy in free throws. Huge. Guys getting fouled and not being called. I really don't give a crap how they call a game as long as it's consistent. If Cunningham is driving a marginal contact and he's getting line, then Jalen deserves to be getting the line. I don't disagree with that. I agree with him on that.
Do you think Jalen Brunson's reputation is unfair? Because I think we've both complained that he does it, right? Like he is not a saint. Do you think it's unfair, his reputation at this point? Do you think it's causing a negative backlash where he doesn't get calls he should be getting?
I don't care about the calls that they don't call. I don't actually give a shit about them missing a lot of the calls that he's trying to bait when he gets into the paint. I care about the stuff when he's bringing the ball up the floor, or when he's trying to come off screens off the ball, or any of that stuff. I don't care about the other shit. I can live without that. I don't need the free throws. But give me the freedom of movement. And they don't give him that. But they do give him some free throws sometimes. That's the shit that bothers me. Way more than the other stuff. I have to watch this guy get fucking just held and body checked and fucking grabbed every time he's not on the ball, even when he's on the ball coming around the screen half the time, but especially when he's bringing the ball up the floor, or when he's off the ball and he's trying to come off screens. You see it all the time. That stuff bothers me way more. So yeah, I don't know if I read this actually. I think I did. Brandon Williams, this team deserves a coach who prioritizes spacing, fast-paced offense, and three-point shooting. Rebounding is not really important when you make a shot and score teams out of the arena. Yep. H22, can we please stop shitting a double whenever Tobias is posting up? Just live with whatever he puts up, man. Yeah, this is Josh Hart. I know exactly what play you're talking about. Josh Hart doubled towards Tobias, and at some point in the third quarter, left Schroeder open for three. It might have been in the fourth quarter, actually. He was on Brunson, but he had nothing going on in the possession. He had absolutely nothing going on in the possession. Hart, he is so, he always does this. He always helps away from one pass, especially if he feels like there's a size mismatch. Tobias was able to hit Schroeder. Schroeder hit a three. It was such a stupid, it was such a dumb play. I agree with you. I think you got to live with some of that stuff. I don't care about Tobias Harris shooting fucking mid-range post-ups. Liking the stream doesn't mean you like the game or coach. Pay the man or at least say thank you for crying out loud. I think this is for us, but thank you. And Buckley, Tom has made Schwinny take off his glasses. That was a very frustrating quote to read. I'm sorry, there's so many quotes in here, so I'm trying to get to as many.
Are they reading glasses or are they normal glasses?
Normal glasses.
I got 20/20, bro. What's up?
See how long that lasts. Zach Kalilovich, Stacy got his Gandalf beard. Look at that.
Lazy guys. I really have been wanting to trim this for several weeks. Let's call it weeks.
Yeah. Zoning permit. Does anyone else get Nembhard and TJ McConnell flashbacks from whatever Schroeder did today? Like, how are we still not adjusting for a bench guard making open shots? A little bit. I still think the 3-point stuff with Schroeder, to some extent, you just got to live with. Like, the one at the end of the game was stupid because you got to switch that. But the one he hit one in the first half where you're just like, okay, whatever. You just got to live with some of those. But
he's a good player. Like, he's a role player, but he's a good player.
It does feel like consistently, no matter who the big is, though, we're very prone to giving up points too easily in pick and rolls, and that's always been a thing, and it's very, very frustrating. Luka Gajovic Protic, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. That top-ranked offensive rating is because of talent alone, not coaching, optimizing the talent. I tend to agree. Jordan Bubb. Josh Hart was asked about the stagnancy of the Knicks offense at times tonight. I just think we played a little too slow. Think about the playoffs. It's never easy. Now we've got to watch film, learn, and grow from it. I'm so ready for the end of the season, so I have like a 4-month break of hearing anybody talk about needing to go watch the fucking film. Like, this isn't the NFL, man. Give me a break.
My team won the Super Bowl in the NFL. Did I tell you about that? The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Sorry if you didn't know.
Sure about the Super Bowls. Nobody should really shit about the fucking Eagles. Zoning permit. When shots go in, Knicks look good. When they don't, bad look. Mark of a classic one-trick pony. Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to look at this. Nafi Mulhuda. Patton Dora. I'm assuming this is you.
Nope. Patton Dora does not.
Basketball.
First of all, huge Harry Potter fan, if that's where it's coming from. But no, I do not. But I didn't respect the Hawks, and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I there's no reason for this Knicks team to be. Someone else said above, excuses, Patton, what's up? I got no excuses for this team. You got one. You can't lose anymore. Like this shouldn't be a close series. This is not a close series in terms of talent. So
I'm assuming this is from a conversation earlier. Ben Williams, Butler's a way better, smarter version of Hart. Butler is very active on offense.
Yeah, Butler's better. Jimmy? Yeah, he's better. Is that I'm a Jimmy Butler hater, but like that should be a question, right?
Yeah, Tibbs doesn't preach offense. He wants rebounds. I don't know if I think it's a little bit reductive, but I kind of get your point. And Buckley, this team doesn't practice. They might not.
Practice. We're not talking about a game at that point.
Yeah. Question for Bickerstaff. Brunson has elite skill set of I'm going to draw 6 fouls on my guy. I don't want guarding me. I think there's more to this, but I'm not sure where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good at getting fouls on Osar. Like, that's not a nothing, but obviously it hasn't. Tonight, it wasn't everything. So,
Carlton Towns talks about not getting any shots in the fourth quarter. Just trying to have the game do what it does, just executing what we talked about. Thought we got some great shots, some great looks, especially when we fought back in that game.
I mean, you can't. The 3-point disparity at this. They had a disparity tonight, right? They had less 3-pointers tonight as well, right? Than fewer. Sorry,
I think they took more. Pretty sure they took more.
So the Knicks took
35, Pistons took 27.
Okay, and shot a better percentage. 35 seems high. I think they could take more, but okay, that's fair enough. They did miss a lot of good looks, so that's fair.
Jalen Brunson talks about facilitating for his teammates and how he can do a better job setting them up going forward. It's on me to make sure I set the table. Okay. Brandon Williams, so tired of hearing soft, toughness, relentless. It's all just buzzwords that mean nothing. Yes. I don't think the Knicks are not tough. I don't think toughness was what this game came down to. Yeah. I like this. Jalen Brunson was asked about the refereeing tonight, the Knicks being able to defend without fouling. Regardless of how it's being refed, we have to adjust. Yep.
He's going to say what he's got to say.
HB Craig, Schwinn was called Tibbs defender when he only said he'll judge by the facts of the season. Now he is. Respect. Tibbs in 5 years. Getting second place with the Knicks was the greatest accomplishment in my career. If you know, you know. It's true. He did say that last year. Something along those lines anyway. This is true. Brunson ball is so good, but they only go to it 2-3 times a game. They drove an ATO for it, right? They drove a after timeout play for a Brunson corner 3. And I understand it's hard to you can't have set plays every time down the floor. No coach does that for a reason. But they don't have things built into their natural flow of offense to do.
Well, even the first play of the game, there was a Brunson off-ball 3. He pump faked out of it. He was open. He created a Cat open 3. Cat pump faked, gave it to Bridges, and Bridges pump faked out of an open 3. So that is the biggest feather in Tibbs's cap. It's the first play they were trying to get these guys the ball without having to create themselves. All of them. And none of them took the shot, which is, I know we are very much on the Tibbs needs to do more, but I do think they just pump fake too fucking much. Maybe that's a Tibbs thing too, because we've seen it for years. But just shoot the shot, man. Yeah. Especially if it's going to end up in a midi. But
yeah. Jordan Bubb, what adjustments do you think Tibbs will make in game 3, or will he make adjustments until he's down the series? I mean, I have no idea. I would love to see him make. I think they'll probably have a better idea of what to do with Cade off the ball. I thought they did a better job defending some of the off-ball actions they were running with Cade, and I thought they did a better job of defending the Cade Schroeder screening for Cade in the second half.
Why did Cade cook tonight? If you could boil it down to a sentence,
I thought he made some tougher shots. That OG played a worse.
He got a lot of layups though, contested layups, sure, but they're still at the rim.
Well, I think OG played a worse game. Pretty simple. I mean, I don't think it's anything much deeper than that. And yeah, this team has last year they kept letting Maxey go to his right hand. Today they kept letting Cade go to his right hand. That shit just always frustrates me because I feel like that's obviously it's going to happen a few times, but to the extent it happened today is just unacceptable. What adjustments do I think? Again, I think they'll be better prepared defensively in a lot of ways, but in terms of rotations, in terms of what he's going to do offensively, I bet you that they'll post Cat way more, but that's not really an adjustment to me. That's just we're going to get Cat the ball more. Tactical adjustments, I don't expect any because we haven't had any all season. Maybe he'll play Mitch more. Maybe that with Cat, that would be great. That might be the only serious adjustment I think I can see him being made. Isaiah, so much being said is stuff that's being preached for a while. Seeing it happen in game is such a headache. HB Greg, they do the same shit to Curry. I think he's talking about grabbing Brunson. So, yeah.
I wasn't yawning, by the way. I was working on my vocal cords. I go a cappella sometimes. So
I'm only going to read this because I always think it's funny. Raise the Sales, Detroit versus everybody. Does everybody have these things? Isn't there New York or nobody? There's every city seems to have this thing, and it's I don't know that there's any city that has everybody against them truly. I don't know.
If it was Ann Arbor versus everybody, I'd agree with it. But
maybe 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue right now. They might have a lot of people against them nowadays.
Including from like a block away, especially from a block away. But yeah.
Yeah. Ann Arbor is a rich city. Yeah. Well, both went to school there, so fully aware of how Ann Arbor is. All right. I got to as many comments as I could. Thank you to everybody that left us comments. Appreciate all of your time. Appreciate all the comments. The Knicks play Thursday. I don't fucking know what time they play, but they play Thursday night. It's probably 7 or 7:30 or some shit. Game 3 in Detroit. I think I'll be on post game. Not sure. Somebody will be on. There will be multiple people on. We will have you covered there. So again, thank you to everybody for the comments. Appreciate your time. Stacey, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, read my recap tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Great game.
Yes. I have nothing to plug personally, so I'll plug all the work with Strickland. Check that out. That is our show for today. I hope everybody has a great night. Hopefully everybody has a better week than the Knicks had tonight. And I'll see you Thursday. Peace.